Phil Robertson joins us from Thailand. Phil is the Deputy Director of the Asia Division at Human Rights Watch. Phil, welcome to the program. Just read between the lines for us and interpret the purpose of charging Aung San Suu Kyi and Min Wint with what to the outside world look like fairly minor charges. I mean, Aung San Suu Kyi is being charged with importing walkie-talkies for her security detail to use.
Yeah, it's really absurd. I mean, these are charges basically to first put her in remand and keep her isolated from the people, unable to reach out under the control of the military. But then the second part of it is to try to also secure a quick conviction, which they hope they will use to prevent her from being able to run again as a parliamentarian. Unfortunately, Myanmar, like many countries, has provisions in law that if you are convicted of a criminal offense, you cannot run for an MP slot. And that is the problem that will be faced. They will sort of manufacture a conviction against her in a court of law on a bogus charge like this, and ultimately then use that to try to keep her from contesting elections in the future.
Presumably that could be changed through modifications to the Constitution. And regarding the Constitution, how much do you think the army has staged this coup? Because they were worried that actually the victory in November for the NLD might have given the party more impetus towards changing elements of the Constitution, which still very much protect the military in Myanmar.
Well, this is the military's constitution. They drafted it by themselves to protect their privileges. And as we saw in 2015, those privileges have been protected, when they were almost wiped out electorally. And they were almost wiped out electorally again this time with their pro-military junta party, the USDP, winning only 33 seats. The reality is that they are going to say that they are protecting the Constitution, say they're protecting rule of law. The NLD was not going to be able to change the Constitution because there's a lock in the Constitution that says that you need to have 75% plus one to change the Constitution, and the military has 25% of the seats. So unless a military MP defects to the other side, there's no possible changes. And that just hasn't happened.
Why are there no large-scale protests against the coup?
I think that they're still coming. They're still in the process. And this is the sort of thing why we see the junta shutting down Facebook and now trying to take action against VPNs to prevent people from using Facebook through their own networks. They are trying to stay one step ahead of the protesters. And I think the protesters are gauging the situation, figuring out what's going to happen next, whether they can go out on the streets as those brave folks did in Mandalay. But there's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of symbolic actions taking place, and it's just a matter of time, I think, before we see larger protests.
Phil, you remember in 2007, the Buddhist monks who were leading a protest that became known as the Saffron Revolution?
Oh, yes.
And they were protesting against the government, which was the military. What do you think the monks are going to do now? Do you see any sort of collective response from Buddhist monks in the country?
The vast majority of the monks will stay with the people and will support the general people's cause, which in this case is the election of a very popular government led by the National League for Democracy. I mean, over 80% of the people voted for it. I mean, there will be monks that will side up with the military. We just heard that the racist hate speech monk Wittatu may be released soon, and we can expect him to come out and stir up trouble. But the reality is that most of the Sangha, the Buddhist monks, will probably side with the people.
Phil, thank you so much indeed. Phil Robertson is from Human Rights Watch, the Deputy Director of the organization's Asia Division. Take care, Phil.